is up, guys, and welcome back. We got a really interesting video planned for you guys, but before we get into it, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button, turn the notifications on. I make fresh content every week. All right, guys, so in this video, we're going to be talking about the biggest cheater in the entire history of fishing. I know you guys have all seen all this crazy stuff going on in the walleye world with Jake Runyan and Chase Cominsky. I've done several videos on that, but this video isn't about them. You guys probably clicked on this video thinking it was going to be about the big walleye scandal that happened up in Lake Erie on the Lake Erie Walleye Trail Championship. But no, this is not about that. There's actually a bigger cheater than those guys. And we're going to get into that in this video. So you guys stick around, stay tuned. We're going to talk about this, guys. Let's go. You know, this walleye stuff has been getting national freaking news. So, you know, as far as like coverage, I would say this is the biggest scandal. Like the walleye scandal is the biggest scandal in fishing, at least in my lifetime. But they aren't the biggest cheaters, guys. They were doing like very simple. They were cheating in a very simple way. I mean, the most complex thing they were doing was passing the polygraphs and the voice stress test and all that stuff. They were able to pass a lot of those. But other than that, I mean, they were just stuffing weights down the fish to increase their weight. That's nothing high tech. That's nothing crazy. Guys have been doing that forever in the bass world. So that is why I'm not considering them the biggest cheaters in the history of fishing. To me, the biggest cheater in the history of fishing is none other than Mike Long, guys. That's right, Mike Long. I did a couple videos on that whole scandal a couple years ago when he got seriously exposed. And the reason I am saying that Mike Long is the biggest cheater in fishing history is because how long he got away with it. It's funny how long he got away with it. His last name's Long. But yeah, I mean, it was like over like 25 or 30 years that he had built a career on just lying and cheating, and everybody thought he was the man. You know, these walleye guys, you know, Jake Runyan, Chase Cominsky, nobody had any idea who they were outside of like Lake Erie area, outside of, you know, Ohio, and outside of like the walleye community. Mike Long, like everybody knew who that dude was because he was always catching monster freaking bass, and he had like several, I want to say like a dozen or so lake records, you know, in and around California. And it all was a sham, guys. It was all a freaking sham. So yeah, guys, basically Mike Long was snagging bass. You know, he was going around and snagging bass off of beds. And that's how he won a lot of tournaments. And that's also how he got the quote-unquote lake records. But one thing else that he was doing that was absolutely unreal is he was taking bass from one body of water where they grow very large and then going up into like the mountain lakes up in Northern California area, like high elevation areas where the water's a lot colder and the fish don't get as big. And he was claiming to catch those fish at those lakes so that he could get his name, like so that he could get recognition for having the lake record. So yeah, he was doing a lot of stuff like that. But what was so crazy with him is how complex he would go, like the lengths he would go to cheat. Like he would catch bass pre-fishing or way before the tournament, and then take them home, keep them in a giant fish tank in his garage, and then come tournament day, he would hide them in his boat. And he was doing this under the noses of everybody, under the noses of the tournament directors, the other anglers, even his co-anglers had no idea because he had built a secret compartment in the back of his boat that was basically a secret live well, and he was hiding the bass in there and then just quietly taking them out while the co-angler up in the front of the boat or something had no idea what the heck was going on. Actually, I believe the live well was in the front of the boat. Yeah, it would have been his boat, so it was in the front of the boat. But he would just act like he was messing around with something, and then all of a sudden he'd have this huge freaking bass, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I just caught it. You didn't see?" And dude was just so crazy with it, and just the way he would hide bass that he'd caught like in cages, just doing everything, and he was getting away with it. Nobody understood what the heck was going on. He finally slowly started getting exposed. And he ultimately was exposed in 2019. There was video footage of him snagging. He was using a big, heavy weight with a treble hook, and that's how he was snagging these fish. There were people who had seen the fish in his garage, and his explanation was, he had them spawning in his garage, and he was just trying to understand and study their breeding habits so that he could learn more about how he caught them. But really, what it was is a bass that he caught like the week before the tournament, and he had it in his garage. Some guy actually commented on one of my older Mike Long videos that I did, and he bought his boat and thought it was the weirdest thing that I need to go back and look at the comments to get this guy's actual name. But he thought it was crazy because he had that weird like hidden live well that he found after he bought the boat. He didn't think much of it. He just thought it was kind of weird. Then after everything came out that he was cheating and lying and everything, the guy he realized why he had that crazy hidden compartment. I mean, this guy was on the cover of magazines. He had all these freaking sponsors. He had built a huge career around just catching big bass. And he wasn't even he was snagging them, guys. He was snagging them, or he was taking them from one body of water and then to another. Well before he was even a bass fisherman, he was caught catfish poaching. And he was same thing. He caught a huge catfish in one body of water and moved it to like a body of water that doesn't even have them or something, so he could claim the lake record. Just in everything that's happened over the last week with the walleye scandal and stuff, I kind of just wanted to touch base on the whole Mike Long thing again, because in my opinion, and again, this is all just my opinion, because he got away with it for so long, and because he fooled so many people, and because his name was like he was all these local marinas and stuff, he had his name like on a plaque as a lake record. He was just so obsessed with being known as like the big bass king. He would just go to these crazy lengths to just fool people into believing that he was catching these giant bass. Another reason somebody started like looking into him, there's like a whole investigation done on Mike Long, and I'll put some links in the descriptions where you guys can check those out. They go into a lot more detail than I'm able to. But yeah, there were like, he took one of the bass up to a mountain lake, and it was snowing, and it was like this freaking unreal, like 11-pound bass or something. And everybody kind of knew something was up because the bass in that lake, it's a really clear mountain lake. The bass are obviously, smaller because of the water. The water temp doesn't stay warm all year round. But all the bass you catch there are like white, pale white almost, because, it's cold, the water's clear. They don't have a lot of color. Well, the bass that he had caught was like bright green, because he caught it from a weedy, like a warmer lake with a bunch of weeds. Avid fishermen know that like bass kind of change color to their surroundings and stuff. And if you catch them in green, bright weeds, they're going to be like green, bright color. If you catch them in a crystal clear lake with colder temps and there's not that much vegetation, they're going to just be like almost white, maybe silver. So people are calling them on that. Yeah, guys, I want to know what you guys think. I want you guys to comment below and let me know who you think the biggest cheater in fishing history. There's been some others. There's been some kayak guys, like one of the guys that I actually was emceeing at the tournament. His name is Andrew Shepard. He got caught cheating. He'd been cheating for like three years or so at the local trails and stuff too. Mike Long, to me, is just the lengths he was able to. It was so much more a complex way of cheating than these walleye guys, because, like I said, he built like special compartments. He like found ways to snag them. They said that he even found ways to like tie the bass to limbs with like line with a knot to where he could reel the crankbait over the knot or over the line, and it would just ride down the line and like snag the fish in the face. Like, he was that crazy with it. And then what's crazy with Mike Long though too is he was a really good fisherman, which I guess these walleye guys too. They actually do go catch the fish. So they're good fishermen, but they just want to give themselves that edge by cheating. Same thing with Mike Long. Like, he, over time, when he first started, I understand he really wasn't much of a fisherman, but over time he got good. He got pretty good at fishing and catching fish. But just you could be the greatest fisherman in the world, and there's still a little bit of luck involved. And he just wanted to be the best. He just, at any means necessary, even if it meant cheating and risking your entire reputation. As soon as all that stuff got released, he went completely ghost mode, and I think that's what's been going on with these walleye guys too. I mean, instead of facing it, they're just all kind of hiding and not wanting to address it. But yeah, Mike Long, I don't even know. It's been 3 years since he's been exposed. Nobody really knows where he is. I mean, I'm sure somebody knows. Comment below if anyone has been in touch with Mike Long recently. Yeah, guys, crazy stuff. I'm not sure why people would want to cheat like that. Like, I don't know how you would feel good about yourself, because, I mean, deep down you know that you didn't catch those fish, or you didn't catch those fish properly. So, I mean, inside, they're still got to be like insecure, not happy with themselves. At least that's how I would be if I was doing stuff like that. Interesting thing about Mike Long though is I actually edited a video for him. We were on the same kayak pro staff at one point, a company called New Canoe, and they had me edit a video of him. And even the video clips that I was editing, and I talked about this in one of my other videos 3 years ago, I believe. The clips that he sent me were strange. One of them was cast to catch, and no question, he caught that fish. But one of the other ones was strange because he had pre-edited it. Whatever. It's a clip for a video. I'd be lying if I said I haven't ever fabricated something after the fact, like say I didn't have my camera rolling or something. So that's not a big deal. But I remember thinking that's kind of weird because the one was cast to catch, the other one wasn't. And I just figured, whatever, he's pre-edited it for me. Crazy stuff. And I'm sure there's been a lot of other cheaters out there. Just a lot of them haven't gotten the national recognition as, this recent scandal with the walleye guys and as Mike Long. The walleye guys have been getting more coverage, I think just because there was so much footage at the event of what went down. Mike Long, there was some footage, but it wasn't, if you weren't like a true fisherman, you didn't really understand what was going on because of how he was snagging the fish and stuff. With these walleye guys, anybody could see what was going on. They clearly stuffed the weights down the throat of the fish. So I think that's why it blew up the way it did. But yeah, guys, again, the reason I think that Mike Long is the biggest cheater in fishing history is simply because how long he was doing it and the lengths that he was willing to go to cheat. He was, like I said, just doing crazy stuff out there.